All right, so I made over 100K producing, 127 million streams, and 9 top 50 records on the Swedish top 50 charts. And I did that without quote unquote selling beats. And in this video, I'm gonna break down how you can make a living producing without hustling $30 beat sales. Now, the reason I decided to go a different route and not just hustle $30 beat sales was because pretty early on, I spotted a pattern. And the pattern was that small artists can't afford high priced beats. And think about this because what happens is that these like super small beginner artists, they're actually not making any type of money from their music. And they might not be making a lot of money overall. They might have a 9 to 5, they might not in a lot of cases. And that makes it really hard to sell anything over like $30 to them. And the second reason why it's so hard is because for them, investing in an expensive beat, it's actually a pretty bad investment. And the reason it's a bad investment is because they're not going to be making anything back from that investment. Think about it yourself. Like, would you want to make an investment that you knew with a very high probability that you wouldn't make anything back from, right? That's pretty logical. Like, why would you want to do that? It's the same thing with the artists, because let's say you charge them $100 for a beat, an exclusive $100, pretty standard. Then they go ahead and they make a song on it, they release it, and that song gets, I don't know, 1,000 streams. That is nowhere near even covering the cost of the beat to begin with. And for that reason, I think a lot of small artists don't even see the value in investing into beats, which makes a lot of sense. So you're going to be fighting this uphill battle, trying to get them to understand why investing in a beat is a good thing. And that is really hard. Then what ends up happening is that you're stuck trying to sell low price beats. But in order for you to make a really good living selling low price beats, you need a lot of volume. And I've done this myself, where I used to sell beats for like $50 to people, because that's what I was able to get out of them. $50, and I had a very hard time getting over like $200 a month, which is nowhere near enough for me to be able to quit my job and make a living out of this, right? So then what you're left with is that you need a shit ton of people so that you have like a lot of people that can buy these $30 leases. Like if you have 300 people buying $30 leases, then it can work. However, what you need then is to build an audience, and building an audience is no easy thing. I was actually talking to a guy a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, can't remember exactly, but I was talking to him, and I remember he told me that he had built up a TikTok with 7K followers, an Instagram with 6K followers, and he was making around 2 to 3 $30 beat sales a month. That is not a whole lot. And he put all of his time and effort, like years of time and effort, into building this audience. But the audience is just consisting of small artists who are not willing to invest or can't afford to invest into anything more high priced. And on top of that, even the low price beats weren't selling a lot. And for that reason, that's why I chose to go a different route. Now, before I go into that and what I chose to do instead, if you want more help and to learn more about producing full time, then you're very welcome to check out my free community. So here's the free community. You can see people are in here getting wins, sharing resources. I'm doing a free feedback call every week where I'm on there giving feedback on your networking, your beats, all that good stuff to make sure that you make progress and you can level up faster. So the link's in the description, and you're very welcome to join that if you feel like you want some more extra help. Now, what did I actually choose to do instead? So what I chose to do instead of trying to hustle beats, I started making songs and charging per song instead. And one of the reasons why I started charging per song instead is because one song equals multiple income streams. So you have the master royalties, you have the publishing royalties, and you can also get an upfront payment. And how you decide to split this up depends on the situation. but you essentially get paid from 3 different places for the same song, compared to just selling it one time for really low price. Now, there's still a problem with this, and that is that I started doing this, but I was charging per song with small artists, so they still couldn't afford it. So I needed to solve that. Now, the way I solved that was that I started networking vertically with people one step ahead of me. And what I mean by one step ahead of me is that they were quote unquote bigger, or they had a better brand than me. So for example, when I was just starting out, I'd find artists with 1K monthly listeners, 2K monthly listeners, and I'd work with them. Then once I worked with them, release songs with them, then I'd post that. That would grow my brand a little bit. That would give me some social proof in the form of releases, show that I know what I was doing. Then I would leverage that to get an artist with 10K monthly listeners. Then I work with the 10K monthly listener guy, and I leverage that to get 20, 30, 50, 60, and so on. All the way up to artists with 500K to 1 million monthly listeners. And the reason that this worked was because I focused on building connections with the right people. With the right people. So artists who are actually up and coming, then people like A&Rs, managers, other producers who are one step ahead of me. As I said, I focused on building connections with the right people. Then I made songs with them, and I leveraged the social proof and connections I got from making those songs and knowing those people to get the next one. So if I work with somebody connected to a bigger artist, I do a great job with them, then I can reach out to that slightly bigger artist and start working with them, because I've gathered social proof in the form of the release and also the mutual connection between us. So I'm just not some random guy anymore. I'm that one guy that made that one song of his friend that I actually liked. So I leveraged all of the connections I got, all of the releases, to quote unquote level up. And then you level up just like in a game. For example, I don't know, I used to play Call of Duty when I was a kid, when I was like 13. So I remember you would just shoot and kill a bunch of people, you get to a level, then you repeat those same activities, you level up to the next level. Same exact principle here. So it's like you network with people, you send out beats, you make songs, you charge for the song, then you release and you repeat. Then you leverage the release that you have to level up one step. And the reason that this works is because of one very simple universal truth. And this universal truth is that the more value that you provide, the more money you'll make. And that's just how it works. Like, for example, take Apple. Like, how much value have they provided to the world? That's why they're making so much money, right? Think of Amazon also providing a lot of value, which means that they're making a shit ton of money. Then we can take somebody like a candy store owner, not providing as much value, making less money. Still valuable, but not as much. So the more value you provide, the more money you'll make. And when I followed this process, I created more value in many different ways. So the first thing is that by locking in with people and creating full songs, instead of just beats, you provide more value. Because what is more valuable than just a beat? Well, a finished song that is mixed, mastered, done, finished, that they can ship out and release. That is going to be more valuable. Then, by locking in with people and actually being personalized, easy to work with, providing them with custom beats, making edits, arranging the songs, helping them with lyrics, helping them with top lines, helping with everything, that is also more valuable. Because every time you make something easier for somebody else, you have created more value. Then, making a big song compared to a small song is also more value, and that is why when you make more big songs, you get paid more. And now, why is it actually more valuable? Well, think of it like this. If you go to an artist with, 200K monthly listeners, you guys make a song, it gets 10 million streams. Each million streams is roughly 5K, perhaps a little bit less, but roughly 5K. And 5K times 10, that's 50K. Compare that to you making a song with an artist and that song gets 1,000 streams, that's like $5. So the amount of value created is very, very different. Now, the last thing is that since you're consistently climbing upwards and upwards and upwards, and you're working with bigger and bigger artists during this process, you gain more social proof. And a producer with social proof has way more value than a producer without it. And the reason that a producer with social proof has way more value is because there's almost like an infinite amount of producers and beats. Like just having beats doesn't give you any value. Like beats do not have inherent value anymore. So the only thing that really gives you value nowadays is the songs that you have. Because if you have made, for example, you have made a record that charted, then that gives your beats more value because your beats are beats that are charting. If you have a lot of big songs in your catalog, that gives your beats more value. Might sound messed up, but that's just how it is. Because that shows people that, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And it also gives artists this kind of illusion that, oh, if I work with him, I'll be able to do the same thing, which isn't really how it works. But still, having big songs gives your beats more value. And that's why gaining the social proof in the form of collabs, connections, and good releases is so important, because it gives you more value, which then loops back around and allows you to make more money.